You've heard of Russian oligarchs who bend to Putin's will. But what about the ones who operate beyond his control? The secret power players hiding in plain sight, masters of concealment, wielding influence through encrypted assets, offshore trusts, and private empires that could shake the very foundations of global stability. Today, we're uncovering the story of a shadowy billionaire who's rewriting the rules of influence, beyond Putin, beyond the headlines. Stay tuned, because what you're about to learn could change everything. The phantom oligarch, Dmitry Mazepin. Among these elusive figures stands Dmitry Mazepin, a name that rarely appears in headlines, but whose control over vital industries makes him a force to be reckoned with. Unlike Russia's more flamboyant oligarchs flaunting palaces and yachts, Mazepin's wealth is cloaked in secrecy. His empire is built on one of the most critical commodities in the modern world: fertilizer and food infrastructure. Through companies like Oralum and Uralkali, Mazepin controls a significant share of nitrogen, potassium, and phosphate, key ingredients in fertilizer that sustains global agriculture from Brazil to Bangladesh. Today, approximately 1 in 5 bags of fertilizer sold worldwide can be traced back to him. This degree of quiet dominance means that, in a crisis, such as a food shortage or supply chain disruption, Mazepin's control over these vital resources turns into a potent weapon. His wealth, estimated at over $10 billion, is concealed within a labyrinth of offshore trusts and shell companies located across the British Virgin Islands, Cyprus, Hong Kong, and beyond. These structures are not mere corporate shields, but fortified bunkers designed to withstand sanctions and scrutiny. When the European Union attempted to blacklist him in 2022, Mazepin's operations were granted exemptions, underscoring his influence over critical supply chains that governments are reluctant to destabilize. Andrey Melnichenko, the warship disguised as a yacht. Another figure exemplifying the extreme lengths oligarchs go to hide assets is Andrey Melnichenko, the owner of sailing yacht A, a vessel that looks more like a floating fortress than a leisure craft. At 468 feet, with towering masts and sleek steel and glass construction, Yacht A is a marvel of modern design. But beneath its luxurious facade lies a tactical masterpiece. Built at a cost of roughly $500 million, the yacht is equipped with radar scramblers, anti-drone systems, biometric locks, and stealth coatings, features borrowed from military technology. Its primary purpose is not leisure, but secrecy. Capable of slipping into international waters and vanishing from satellite surveillance, Yacht A is a sovereign zone on water, an offshore command post that can move meetings, personnel, and assets undetected. When EU sanctions were imposed in 2022, Melnichenko's yacht had already sailed. It left an Italian port days before being frozen, cutting off communications and disappearing from maritime databases. For weeks, authorities could not confirm its location, fueling speculation that it resurfaced in Turkey or the Red Sea. This escape was no accident. It was a calculated move in a game of high-stakes concealment. Alexei Mordashov, master of corporate vanishing. While some oligarchs focus on physical assets, others excel in the art of legal and financial disappearance. Alexei Mordashov, once a titan of Russia's steel industry, epitomizes this craft. His empire, which once included Severstal, a $15 billion steel giant, has been transformed into a corporate fog so dense that billions seem to evaporate into thin air. When sanctions threatened to choke off his control, Mordashov executed a series of rapid legal maneuvers. Ownership stakes in key companies like Nord Gold and Sever Group were quietly transferred to offshore trusts and shell corporations scattered across jurisdictions such as the Cayman Islands, Seychelles, and Liechtenstein. These moves created a complex web of ownership that regulators struggled to untangle, allowing Mordashov to maintain control over billions in assets despite mounting international pressure. This strategy is not merely about hiding wealth. It's about buying time by dissolving entities, shifting assets, and creating layers of legal ambiguity. Mordashov effectively cloaks his empire in a corporate illusion. When regulators chase shadows, his holdings remain intact, larger, deeper, and more concealed than before. His approach underscores a fundamental principle. In the modern financial landscape, visibility is vulnerability. The ability to vanish on paper is often more powerful than a fleet of yachts or fortified compounds. Vladimir Lisin, the invisible steel fortress. While many Russian oligarchs rely on tangible assets like oil fields or real estate, Vladimir Lisin has constructed his empire from something far more intangible: encrypted data and cyber-physical security. As the head of Novolitsk Steel and LMK, Lisin commands a vast steel supply chain integral to Russia's defense and infrastructure projects. What sets Lisin apart is his mastery of industrial cybersecurity. His plants are housed within Faraday-shielded control rooms, operating on air-gapped systems, completely isolated from the internet. Shipment records, contracts, and maintenance schedules are stored on private blockchains, encrypted and routed through Swiss satellite uplinks, making them virtually impossible to trace. This digital armor allows Lisin's operations to remain resilient against sanctions and cyber attacks. When Western nations targeted Russian assets in 2022, Lisin's supply chain continued unimpeded, slipping through the cracks of international oversight. His steel quietly fuels everything from construction projects to military infrastructure, all while remaining invisible in the global financial system. This approach demonstrates that in the age of cyber warfare, the most impregnable fortress isn't stone or steel, but a network of firewalls, encryption, and silence. Igor Sechin, the power behind the Kremlin. No discussion of Russian influence is complete without mentioning Igor Sechin, a man whose power is intertwined with the very core of Russia's energy dominance. As CEO of Rosneft, Russia's largest oil producer, Sechin is often dubbed the shadow minister of energy. His empire extends from Venezuelan oil fields to Arctic drilling platforms, making him a key player in Moscow's geopolitical strategy. Sechin's control over vast energy resources grants him immense leverage. His operations are woven into the fabric of the Russian economy and national security. Despite Western sanctions, Rosneft continues to produce and export oil, backed by state support and a network of political allies. However, the fragility of his position lies beneath the surface. The global shift toward renewable energy, price volatility, and the economic fallout from the Ukraine conflict threaten the stability of his empire. While he remains powerful today, whispers circulate in Kremlin corridors that his seat is not invulnerable. Sechin's mastery lies in maintaining a delicate balance, leveraging political loyalty, controlling strategic assets, and ensuring that his influence remains vital to Russia's survival. But in the ruthless arena of geopolitics, today's power can become tomorrow's exile. Oleg Deripaska, the enduring survivor. While many oligarchs focus on ostentation or strategic control of tangible assets, Oleg Deripaska has perfected the art of endurance. His empire, centered around aluminum through Rusal, spans continents and industries, embedding him deeply into global supply chains. Sanctions have repeatedly targeted him, freezing assets and restricting access to Western financial systems. Yet, Deripaska's resilience lies in his adaptability. Ownership stakes and control are swiftly transferred to offshore proxies, shell companies, and obscure trading firms, creating a web so complex that investigators struggle to trace the real locus of power. He invests heavily in scientific research, energy projects, and strategic alliances, ensuring that his influence persists even when visible assets are frozen or seized. When regulators tighten the noose, Deripaska retreats into the shadows, allowing others to take the public face of his operations. His empire remains intact, merely shifting and reshaping itself behind layers of corporate fog. This strategic patience and willingness to retreat make him one of the most resilient Russian oligarchs, a survivor who understands that in the game of influence, sometimes silence and invisibility are the greatest weapons. As international sanctions tighten and global tensions rise, the true battleground isn't always visible. Behind the scenes, Russian billionaires have evolved beyond traditional displays of wealth and influence. They have become masters of concealment, leveraging technology, legal ingenuity, and strategic mobility to operate beyond the reach of governments and regulators. Their stories serve as a reminder that in today's interconnected world, power is often hidden in plain sight, embedded in encrypted networks, floating fortresses, and complex webs of offshore entities. Understanding these hidden empires is crucial for policymakers, investors, and anyone interested in the future of global stability. Because when the dust settles, it's these shadow players who will determine the new rules of influence. Players who can shape markets, trigger crises, and rewrite the geopolitical playbook without ever revealing their true hand.